Thank Mr. Upton, too, for yielding. I have a meeting I have to get to down at the White House. So, but Mr. Secretary, thanks again for being here. Thanks for your leadership of the agency. We work with a number of presidential appointees on this committee, and you're one of the best we work with in terms of communication with your team and going back and forth with us on these energy policy issues. Now, there's one you and I talked about last year, and I think probably the year before and everything else, and it should come as no surprise related to the proposal to sell off the Bonneville Power Administration and the idea of selling it off. So the question is, the idea of selling off Bonneville Power Administration's electricity transmission assets and abandoning cost-based race is broadly rejected by practically every member of the Pacific Northwest congressional delegation in the House and the Senate. Can you assure me the Department of Energy will not sell off BPA unless Congress provides explicit authorization?
I can assure you with great assurance that we will follow your direction, sir, and this committee, and Congress's direction.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Now, let's move on to innovation. I note this past week, DOE announced a contract to build the Frontier supercomputer at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, which is anticipated to debut as the world's most powerful computer. Can you talk about the research benefits of DOE's supercomputer program?
That will be difficult in a short period of time, but I'll do my best, and I'll talk fast, which is a pretty good test for an Aggie. But the breadth of what these supercomputers are allowing us to get answers for of questions that have vexed us in the past, and just because we did not have the computing capacity, we didn't have the broadband, the bandwidth, if you will, to put all the data in to get the answers back. These computers, here's the speed at which they are. 1 billion calculations per second. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I can't get my little mind around that, the ability to manage that much data. But it gives us the potential in healthcare, for instance, to be able to find some cures for cancer, to go back through every data set that's been done since time immemorial on drug tests that ended up over in a pile of, because they were failures because we couldn't get to the final answer. Go back and take all of that data and run it through these computers because they are so powerful, and we will find new drugs to work on. In brain science, and this is where Mr. McNerney and I were talking about, I know his interest in traumatic brain injury and the work that is being done there. We're in a partnership with the University of California, San Francisco, Dr. Jeffrey Manley out there, finding new solutions on traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress, CTE, which obviously the professional football league's very interested in some of those studies. I mean, and that's just in the healthcare side.
What can you say about energy? Can we get to where coal can be burned with no emissions, you think?
And here's my example, Mr. Chairman, is that, 15 years ago, people told us we'd found all the energy that there was to be found at the, just get used to it. We found it all. Even if you find any more, you won't be able to afford to produce it. Well, that conventional wisdom was massively wrong. I will suggest to you those that say you can't use coal, for instance, in a clean, almost emission-free way. They can be proven wrong, too, and it's going to be these supercomputers that are working with our scientists, and I will suggest to you at the private sector and our national labs in partnership to find some energy solutions to this incredibly abundant resource that we have in this country. So you're absolutely correct.
Let me go to a different topic, if I could. We've spent a lot of time in this committee looking at nuclear waste storage. We appreciate your leadership in this, and we hope to renew that effort going forward. But also at how we harness new nuclear energy technologies. And so I know that the department's looking at doing some work on micronuclear, as well as some of the other proposals, NuScale and others. In the 20 seconds I have left, can you just give us a quick update on small modular and micro?
Yes, sir. The work that's being done in the agency, along with the private sector, INL, Idaho National Lab, and NuScale, they're in a partnership out there. I know Mr. Gates, Bill Gates, and his company, Terra Energy, different technology, but these small modular reactors and these micro-reactors. The micro-reactors even smaller, Bill, from the standpoint of using these in our military and in places around the world. So, and the small modular reactors also, not only are they smaller, they're cheaper, they're easier to build, and they're safer, and the fuel that they use is safer. So the future of clean energy has never been brighter than it is
Can you give me
today.
the horizon? Are we talking 2 years, 10 years, 30 years?
2025, if I'm correct on that number, 2025 is the projected date on some of the SMRs to be out with their prototypes. And
all right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence.